Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So I was going to wear these glasses for this, but there's a massive glare on that, so it's not going to happen. So good morning or good afternoon or good evening whenever you're listening to this. This is morning time for me that I'm recording it, and the temperature has dropped about 30 degrees from yesterday. We had some really nice weather over the weekend and it was warm. It was 79 yesterday. And I woke up this morning and it was 49. So I am bundled up like it's freezing out there because of the drastic weather change. Nevertheless, I'm here today. I am excited for our topic. I was doing and I don't mean slow, but I mean like was moving more intentionally this morning. And so I did some yoga, sent the kids off to school, took a longer shower than typical, and kept reminding myself that not everything had to be efficient. I did deserve to have time to myself, and then I did some meditation and some journaling. And what came through is today's topic, which is, can you trust without proof? And what's funny is so many people want proof that what they're doing is working, especially as entrepreneurs, right? We want to know that our marketing is going to work. We want to know that it's landing where it's supposed to be landing and all of the other things. But here's the funny part of this. There are so many areas of our lives in which we don't need the proof and we just inherently trust, right? So prime example. When you turn on your light switch, my guess is you don't give it a second thought and you trust that that light's going to go on. I also gather that you don't actually know how it works. You don't know what it takes for that light bulb to be turned on, right? Maybe you do, right? Maybe you're going to Google it and figure it out today. But nevertheless, you flip on that light switch and you just assume that the light's going to turn on. Same thing with your car. I haven't the slightest idea how the motor and everything works in my car. Not the slightest clue. But when I push that button to start my car, I trust that my car is going to start. And yet, somehow we don't let this trust translate into entrepreneurship and our life in general. And here's the reason why. We haven't practiced it. We have spent a good portion of our time doubting that something's going to work. And so there's that little ego in our head that's like, is it going to work this time? And your mind really just wants to be right. And so it goes, well, it hasn't worked in the past, so this one probably won't work, right? Same as if you were working on a car and you had pulled it all apart, right? Chances are when you hit that start button, you'd be like, I don't know if it's going to work. I'm not entirely sure because I don't know how I've put it together. But this is what we do to ourselves is we struggle to allow ourselves to trust because we don't have the proof necessarily that it will work. We don't have the proof for ourselves necessarily that it would work. But here's the other thing. Maybe you're not actually looking for the proof. Maybe what you've actually done is you have said to yourself, okay, this might not work. And then all of a sudden you have a million reasons as to why it won't work. And guess what? All of those reasons could happen. Are you focused on all of the ways that it won't work? Or can you shift your focus a little bit and say, okay, maybe this will work. what if it does? Right? What if it does work? And then all of a sudden, you have all these examples of what if it does work? And so it's not necessarily that you don't have the proof. Maybe you don't have the proof for this specific example, right? But I guarantee you, you have proof of previous examples. And if you've spent any time with me, you know, through social media, through my other previous episodes, I love talking about this part because here's the thing. This was made so apparent to me when I was working on my dissertation. And my dissertation chair refers to it as self-efficacy. Okay? So you can trust when you have a high level of self-efficacy. So what does that mean? That means that you can trust that you'll be able to do this thing because you did that thing. And they may not even be related. And they may be very related, right? So, for example, when I was writing my dissertation, I had no proof that I was going to be able to write a dissertation. I had never done it before. Ever. Right? Dissertation isn't just something that you whip up on a Friday afternoon, right? So I had no proof that I was going to be able to write my dissertation and complete my Ph.D. However, I did have proof that I knew how to do research and write papers because I had been doing it for undergrad, for my graduate degrees, and during my Ph.D. program. I had essentially a decade or more, if you include high school, right? A decade plus of being able to research and write. I had 10 years plus of proof that I could research and write. Well, what is a dissertation? Essentially researching and writing, boiled down. And so I didn't have the proof that I could do it, but I trusted that I was able to do it. And so, can you trust when the proof isn't there for that particular thing? Yeah, absolutely you can. You have to choose to, though, because you may not have proof for that exact thing to come to fruition, but you have proof of other things that have worked, right? When you train for any kind of a race, right? When I did the marathon training, I never actually ran a full marathon during my training. I didn't have proof that I could run a full marathon. But I had proof that I could run, I think the longest I ran was like 22 miles in one shot. I had proof that I could run 22 miles, so I trusted that I could get to 26.2. And so, yes, you can trust without the proof. You just have to decide to do that. It is a choice that you always have. So when it comes to trusting without the proof, what are you looking at first off, right? Have you looked at all of the reasons that it can work or all the reasons it can't work? Because if you're looking at all the reasons it can't work, you're going to be absolutely right. But if you start to look at the reasons it can work, then all of a sudden you've become creative and you're like, oh, actually that was a time that I succeeded there. Oh my goodness, that was another time that I succeeded there. And so it's more about shifting your focus so that you can trust without the proof. Additionally, and this is one that I tap in from time to time, is if somebody else has done it, I can do it too. Maybe I don't want to do all the things, right? The thought that came to mind was running a sub 4-minute mile. Yeah, someone else has run a sub 4-minute mile. It was a guy. Multiple men have run sub 4-minute miles. Could I do it? I could probably get pretty close if I wanted to do that kind of training. I don't want to. It's not something I really care to achieve, right? But it could be done because someone else has done it, right? Well, Steph, what about the first person who broke the sub 4-minute mile? Well, he didn't have proof that anyone could do it. but he believed that it could be done. And so he did it. And then more and more people were able to do it, right? And so, again, it's about figuring out what you're focused on and then finding the belief that it can happen, whether it's through your own previous successes before or whether it's tapping into what somebody else has done, right? I'll never forget when I first started my coaching business, I had 0 examples of present moms who were successful. 0. Like there was not one in Facebook or like social media of any kind where I was like, oh, that mom is super present and has a really successful coaching business. There were moms that I thought may have had both. And then as I dug deeper, I realized that they didn't actually have both. And so there was no example, but I was like, you know what? I believe that this is possible. And so I'm going to make it happen. And then shortly after I made kind of that declaration, I begin to see other moms who actually had this work-life balance and were successful in both areas. And so, can you trust without proof? Yes, but it's a decision that you make. And maybe you're not ready to, right? Maybe you have to work on trusting in a smaller area first. This is something that I work with my clients on quite a bit because we all want that big, beautiful sign to let us know who we're supposed to marry, where we're supposed to live, what job we're supposed to get, right? All those big decisions in our lives, we want that big, glorious, like thunder cloud to come down and lightning strike the thing that we're supposed to do. We want it to be crystal clear. But if you can't trust in the smaller decisions throughout your day, how are you going to trust in those really big ones? And so I help my clients to begin to trust in the smaller areas, the smaller decisions. What do you want to eat? What do you want to wear? What does your marketing feel like today? Right? These kinds of things. How do you want your day to be set up? Do you really want to work 40 hours a week, or would you be happier working 20 hours a week? Right? You've got to learn to trust in the smaller things, and then it becomes so much easier to trust in the bigger things. And I'm using air quotes here because they're all decisions and choices that we have. And there's none that are seemingly bigger than the others. It's all part of our journey. So, trust without the proof. You trust in so many other areas of your life without the proof and without the know-how. I challenge you to do it with yourself. Because you deserve it. So, that is the end of this episode for today. As you know, I batch create, and so I'll be popping on for the next one. But if you do have questions or you're interested in working with me, again, I do have private spots available. I am excited for those to be open right now. It's going to be great. It is going to be great. I'm excited about it. So if you are interested in private coaching, I do have that available. I do not have any group programs in the forefront right now, nothing that I'm working towards, just those private spots. So if you are interested in learning to balance your work and life so that you can create the life that you desire, I'm here for that. We work with the masculine and feminine energies, structure and belief, however way you want to word it. And if you have any questions or you're interested in that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye, love.